Boss Lady dispensary. Owner Jill Cohen is passionate about cannabis. Her dispensary caters to those with a refined taste. She believes that cannabis can transform lives into an elevated experience when properly used. The plant, with their healing benefits, bring happiness while lowering anxiety and many other symptoms. Elevated by the Cannabis Boss Lady offers a 5-star experience that starts with a friendly environment and highly trained bud tenders ready to guide every customer on their journey. Jill and her team are committed to a higher level of wellness. Check out the Cannabis Boss Lady at 9 Highland Place, downtown Maplewood. Be sure to mention the Soma Talks podcast and get 20% off. That's 20% off. Righteous bucks. The Cannabis Boss Lady. The best. And welcome to the Soma Talks podcast. Sponsored by Davis Advocacy and Consulting, Coda Kitchen, Elevated by the Cannabis Boss Lady Dispensary, and Educational Equity Advisors. I'm Ileana, and once again, I am joined by Ileana. On the day that you were born, the angels got together and decided to create a dream come true. So they sprinkled moon dust in your hair of gold and starlight in your eyes of blue. Ba-da-do, ba-da-do. Castillo! What do you think of that, Ileana? The Carpenters.
He used to...
The Carpenters.
You gotta go more my generation. I feel like you go away.
Yeah, that's when you were the 70s. I mean, that's when you were born. That was a tribute to you because you're from the 1970s.
I'm a Generation X.
Right. So what year were you born?
78.
Oh, 78. All right. So there you go. That was a big hit in 1978. So I'm thinking.
You can't bring Elvis or the Queens or The Cure. Like.
How about this, Ileana?
Even the Beatles.
How about this, Ileana? How about we move on from music and we discuss comedy? And we have a very special guest with us today.
Yes, we do.
The funniest man in Maplewood, in Soma, in South Orange. I can say that without a doubt. Right, Ileana? Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Joe Larson.
Thank you. I'm actually very underwhelmed by that introduction. I got no song.
Yeah, well,
I'm pretty upset.
Thank you.
I'm pretty upset.
Hey, Joe.
How about this?
When you go with that gun in your hand.
I was born in 82. Go for it.
82? Oh, God, I got to work on the 80s. I didn't like the 80s, man.
I love the 80s.
I loved the 70s and then the 90s when we got right into Pearl Jam. It was basically like, Led Zeppelin, Pearl Jam, and everything in between. Was,
you weren't a cocaine guy.
Right, yeah, that's right. The cocaine years are very good for me. Yes, they were. Yes,
70s weed, 90s weed, and you left all the middle out.
Yeah, the 80s were, music was, first of all, the MTV kind of popped up.
Yeah.
I was a kid when MTV came out. It was 84, actually.
And it was like
came
the
out.
videos. Everyone would be like, oh, did you see the video? I'm like, I'm into the music, man, not so much the videos, but now you look back and you're like, there was the Go-Go's. There was some really great shit.
There was some great music.
Yeah, there was some great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think also that if you're at that time where you liked something from the 70s, you're just going to hate whatever's afterwards, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Whatever you grew up in your teen years, you're like, whatever's coming next, screw that. That's not as good as the stuff we had.
Do any of us like anything that's going on right now?
As far as music is concerned today?
Music. He's right. We like the 80s and 90s, but we don't like 2000, 2010,
Taylor
or 20.
Swift, that's
Goddamn kids, turn that racket off.
That's right.
Welcome to the podcast called Old Farts.
Right, yeah, and the beats, and the beats and all that, and the guys, I'm not even sure what's going on with the beat. I mean, I'm like my son, he does the beats, and I remember when he's doing well. Yeah, with the machines, and I'm like, you don't play guitar, you don't play drums, you're not a musician. I don't want to. This is ridiculous, but still he's making money doing it. So what are you gonna do?
Come on, you gotta admit the 80s were a good era for music.
They were a great era for music.
After 90s, everything went down.
Well, there certainly were no Carpenters in the. I think she died.
He's sticking with the Carpenters.
She died in '82, actually, from anorexia. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah,
it was kind of sad. But her brother actually is still alive. He married his cousin. First cousin, he had 4 kids with his first cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of.
You know that him bringing all these songs, he just outs his age.
Yeah,
you know
of course. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Automatically.
Yeah, I was so excited to be here with you, my contemporary, and my grandfather.
Thanks.
It's very exciting.
Hey, man, I like the oldies.
Because if he would have said Michael Jackson or Duran Duran or maybe Metallica, okay, I'm feeling it. But then you come, what was the last?
He goes, I remember seeing Beethoven.
That's right. Yes, that's it. Yes.
New name for the podcast: oldest man in Soma.
Yeah. What was it? Last week you were the Bee Gees. Now today the Carpenters. You see, there's a pattern there.
I will say,
yeah, I guess I'm stuck in the 70s. You know what it is? I've been watching these documentaries, that are on like Amazon or whatever. So
again,
but I heard this wonderful song at Ileana. I thought of you. So here I was.
Again,
I thought it would.
You're
melt
just
your
putting
heart.
your age out there.
But Ileana, did I tell you? Good-looking guy, right, Joe? He's a good-looking guy. Right?
He did say that. He did say that.
The first thing Ileana asked me when I said, "Hey, I got a guy and wants to come on," she said, "Is he attractive?" First thing she asked, and then she wants to know if he's cocktail dress attractive.
I should have put on nicer clothes. I had no idea.
Well, Ileana, now she's mad because you can see she kind of wore her school teacher clothes. But she would have worn a cocktail. She wore cocktail dresses this summer. When we had some.
I did. It was summer.
I'm feeling worse and worse and worse. You didn't serenade me, and you're wearing school teacher attire. I'm not even welcome here.
That's right. No cocktail dresses. No songs. So Joe, first off, tell us a little bit. Now, I know you're doing with the Loft. There's a big thing that you do right here in South Orange.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Laughs in the Loft.
Laughs in the Loft. So it's a comedy show that I do once a month where I bring out 4 or 5 comics usually from the city, but I've had them come as far as Estonia. I had a comedian come from
Estonia.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that near the Dominican Republic?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, they're very close. I see you also went to public school.
That's right. Yes, I did go to public school.
But London, all over the world. So when people stop into the city, and if they got to open Wednesday, they'll pop over and do it. And I run it like a cellar show. So I bring out 4 or 5 comics, and they're all spectacular, and it's always a good time.
Here in South Orange?
Yeah, at
SOPAC?
Yeah, right. SOPAC. Yeah.
First Wednesday of each month, we take over the Loft space.
First one. Okay.
And
First Wednesday.
It's a cheap ticket, and it's one of those things where I ran a show like this in Brooklyn when I lived out in Brooklyn because everyone that lives in Soma now had lived in Brooklyn.
Oh, he's a
at one point.
Brooklyn. He's one of those.
I'm one of the reasons your properties are more valuable.
That's right. Yes.
You're
Exactly.
welcome.
He's one of those.
I know. You're like, I hate those. Wait a minute. $4 million for a 1-bedroom. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, how does that work in Brooklyn, by the way? When you're living in Brooklyn, how did you figure out Soma or hear about Soma? I'm kind of curious how.
Yeah, everybody wants to know.
Because we've been here. I've been here since the turn of the century, literally.
Yeah, it's the rule. It's actually a law.
No, he's been here since the dinosaurs were alive. He's been here for a while.
I remember when they tore down that house on Parker that everybody's upset about because it was like the oldest house in Soma.
Right.
I actually got to tour it right before they tore it down. And I remember seeing your initials in the doorway.
That's right.
It showed your height throughout the years.
Did you put an offer on it? Don't tear it down. I'll take it. Right.
It's a historic artifact. He's still here. No, in Brooklyn, if your kids reach middle school age, you legally have to move to Essex County.
Right. Yeah. So that when you say, "Hey, I want to look at some homes in New Jersey," they take you right to Soma, and they're like, "Well, gee, I heard about Livingston." And they're like, "No."
I thought it was like word on the mouth. Like people were like, "Hey, you're moving." Like, here, we're going to Maplewood, things like that.
You know what it is? Yeah, we're all the people that couldn't afford Montclair.
Right, that's right.
That's all it is.
It's like you got anything else?
Yeah.
Well, we got
Oh my God.
South Orange.
You got the poor Brooklyn people.
Right, that's right. Yeah, right. Depending on which end of the Park Slope, it's like you go to Montclair, right? The rest of Brooklyn are going to shoot you.
Yeah, you shoot. Yeah, they just bring you right here.
So you were doing stand up in Brooklyn. You were doing stand up in New York.
Yeah.
When you came to Jersey, were you like that might damage my career, hurt my career, make it harder to get to New York to do comedy?
I'm in the city 3 or 4 nights a week. So
okay.
Yeah, no, it's and whenever I want to be, and I'm on the road a ton these days as well, and so. No, Jersey was a great move. I love it so much. It's fantastic. And I moved here during the pandemic like everybody else. And
It's true.
And my neighbor had actually worked at SOPAC, and I was telling him about the show that I had run in Brooklyn, where it was, again, like a little showcase show, it was a little neighborhood show, and it was just sort of a community thing. And he was like, you should do that here. And I'm like, well, I don't know anyone here. And he goes, well, SOPAC has an email list. Let me put you in touch with them. And so the wonderful interim director there at the time, Dee, put on the show, and it was an immediate success, and people were super.
Oh, that's good.
It was the first show they started doing post-pandemic inside, and it just did super well.
So because I used to produce shows in Maplewood for years, comedy shows, and I remember someone said, "Hey, Joe Larson, you familiar with him?" A mutual friend of ours, and I said, "I'm not." And so they said he's doing some shows at SOPAC. So I'm checking it out. I'm like, I bet she doesn't have anybody big. First I see Jessica Kurz. I'm like, he's got somebody big. He's got somebody really big, and that was really impressive. I don't know if you're familiar with Jessica Kurz and Ileana. She's similar to you. She's funny.
No, I don't think I know
She's a
her.
lesbian.
She wears a lot of school teacher clothes.
You're not a lesbian, right?
No.
Depends on the day, right?
Yeah, right.
But so you've had. I mean, but I know you. Gordon Baker Bone does.
He does it all the time because he's local. So I always keep the local boys in my back pocket for when somebody cancels. It's one of those cool things where I've got a lot of friends in New York City that are pretty big names like Jess and Gaffigan and a couple other people. And since it's a Wednesday, and since I don't have to promote their names, they will let me put them on sometimes. So if you see the lineup and there's only like 2 or 3 names, you know somebody big is coming.
Somebody coming,
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many? So the tickets sell out. Basically, you buy a ticket online for the show.
Buy a ticket online. It's $20.
Okay,
it's a cheap date.
Yeah, it's a great. And Ileana would like to know if there is booze at these shows.
There's always booze. There is a bartender, and they do a terrible job of serving drinks.
Right. Okay.
They keep going. We need to make more money. I'm like, then have one waiter or waitress.
Right.
Like,
That's right.
One,
Yeah.
that's all you need. But it's a nonprofit organization, and they are really leaning on that nonprofit idea.
Right. That's. I used to do a lot of shows at the Comedy Cove, which is now R.I.P. the Comedy Cove. And Gene, who I love the guy to death, who owned the place. Gene, I would say, hey, Gene, want to do a show? And then first thing he'd be, oh, that's great. How many people are you bringing? First thing, And so you would say, and a lot of times I would. At first, I'm like 100, and then like 20 show up. That's a problem. So then you would say 20, and then 100 would show up. So I guess that's also part of the problem with staffing and whatnot.
Here's my favorite Comedy Cove story. I worked there a billion years ago, and it's a dump, so I stopped working there.
Yep.
And then I was doing a corporate show around the corner. 400 people. It was sold out. I made very good money. And I was like, you know what? They're running a show over there. I don't know who the headliner is. I'm going to go check them out. Checked out him online. I was like, "Oh, he's terrible. This is a horrible show."
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go sit and watch them. And if you're a comedian, you get to be in the back of the room in comedy clubs. That's how it works.
Right.
And, you go, I'm a comic. I'm gonna, I've worked here. I've headlined here. That's really
right. It's like you have a business card to kind of sit in the cheap seats.
Yeah. You say, and there was 4 people on a Saturday. 4 people there. So I go.
This is at the Cove.
At the Cove. So I sit down after my show, and I'm watching this guy just eat it, be a terrible comic. Yeah. And Gene comes to me and goes, it's $27. And I go, oh, no, I'm a comic. He goes, okay, it's $27.
That's cheap.
So anyway, a comic friend of mine is running some comedy class, and he does a graduation show there. He goes,
is this Chip?
Jay August.
Oh, okay, Jay August. Yeah.
Good guy. Yeah. And he goes, would you close it? And I said, I'll close it on one condition, that you pay me 27 $1 bills on stage. Yeah. As I close the show. Can you do it?
Right. Yeah. I want Gene to see this.
Yes, I wanted him to see it. And so it was like the last week the place was open.
Now, Jay August, he teaches at the adult school now, right?
Yeah.
So that was my gig. So I taught at the adult school for many years. I kind of started that, and I kind of moved on. When the pandemic hit, we were doing shows online. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And it was just I kind of run its course. And then. Basically, everything I was doing in life, I had to put aside for the podcast. So that's basically Ileana. I'm like, Ileana, I'm doing stand-up. Ileana's like, not anymore. You're doing a podcast.
We got a podcast. I'll tell you, those online shows, I figured out a format for them that works so incredibly well. And I basically bought my house with Zoom shows during the pandemic.
All right.
Yeah. I built a corporate show that was, I'm pretty decent with Photoshop, and so I would steal people's Zoom squares during the show and then basically roast them at the end of the show using their own pictures. And it just kills. And it's a light roast. It's very sweet and very funny. But it just does so great. And once I got a good reel on that, it just took off. And my corporate season that year was just insane.
That's awesome. So you kind of like, you took lemons and you made them lemonade, Ileana.
No.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, well,
that sounds really good idea.
So, Ileana, have you ever dated a comic? Or
no, I've never dated a comedian.
I believe you're married because I've seen your material. And I know a lot of your material is about your wife. So Ileana was he could still come on, basically.
Okay.
That was,
Oh God.
She was like, he's married. So then, so where do you get your material from?
Oh, good Christ.
Everything.
Thank you, Ileana. We get next question.
Next question. Everything. I was going to ask you, have you ever made material about Maplewood South Orange?
Absolutely, because that's the beautiful part about that SOPAC show is I just use it as my open mic. So I go up and whatever we're talking about, basically whatever the social media elements are that are big at the time, whether it be leaf blowers or a school board meeting things.
Oh my God, I'm sure those are the best ones.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Social media too?
Well, I mean, I remember because I moved here right before the pool opened, and I remember going like, oh, "What a weird area!" Because this is one of those. It's two towns, but it's one town. They share the same school district.
Correct.
The police departments work together. Everybody, basically, South Orange and Maplewood is Maplewood and is South Orange. But if you go to my fucking pool, I swear to God, I'll stab you in your goddamn neck. We do not share pools. It's the funniest thing in the world. We'll share everything else, but not a pool.
It's crazy how this is like we're a community of togetherness and we support each other, but then they don't. They don't. So it really is. There could be a sitcom about Soma. I think there should be a sitcom.
I agree.
You know, and
the Housewives of Soma.
Right, yeah.
The Housewife of Soma. That would be a killer.
Yeah, it's.
I always say Sofia Vergara has to do my.
So you already got yourself.
Sofia Vergara has to do my part.
She play you? Yeah.
Yeah, she'll definitely play me.
I can already see the opening sign where there's opening shot where there's a big beautiful Soma house and there's like 15,000 yard signs.
Right. It's like, hi, we noticed you don't have a lawn sign. Yes, is there a problem?
A housewife with the leaf blower.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
there you go.
Electric, because we don't gas. That was the other thing when that
another
thing came
one
around,
being a Karen.
That one cracked me up. I was like, because when somebody was like, "How do you feel about gas leaf blowers?" I grew up poor white trash. I was like, well, if you got one of those, you're doing pretty well.
Right, yeah,
like, congratulations.
Yeah. No cord attached,
wow,
right? Yeah.
Good for
Look
you.
at you. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you got some money, okay.
Right.
That was when I realized I was the poorest person in South Orange, because I was like, I don't have an opinion on gas leaf blowers. I'm not doing well. The amount of money you got to have, the amount of problems you don't have to give a shit about leaf blowers is astronomical.
Right, yeah. If they come and they take it away from you, they're like, "I'm sorry, you won't be needing this anymore." It's like, but that's my second mortgage.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the leaf blower, and that's Nancy Adams, mayor of Maplewood, who was a friend of mine. That was she was the one that basically.
That's his favorite township committee.
Yeah. Put the kibosh on it. So if she's listening to the podcast, yes, Nancy, leaf blowers. We're talking leaf blowers. But yeah, I mean, you know what though? I will say at first I was like, what are they doing with the leaf blowers, getting rid of them? But then, you know, when you hear them, you know, when you hear them and you're sitting in your house or something like that, and then you're like, oh, okay, and now I know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's interrupting your carpenters.
Right, interrupting my carpenters. Yes.
What, besides the leaf blower, what other material have you used in your comedy set besides the leaf blowers?
Yeah, like local
what's your favorite one that is always a hit when you bring it up that people are like, damn, that's so true.
That's locally grown.
Yeah,
right?
that locally, yeah.
It's really just a whatever's kind of going on.
On the moment?
On the moment, because there's always a beautiful news story. Like, what's the most recent big controversy here?
Story here?
Well, it was probably the recently Trump one or the Board of Ed. That one was really big.
Yeah, which I heard you guys played a huge role in that.
Yeah,
Did we?
I think so. I think, by the way, I saw on your Facebook page, I think you supported the candidates.
BBK?
BBK.
Deirdre's a good friend, a good family friend.
Oh, you supported BBK?
And, BBK, what?
Deidre Brown, Kapadia, and Bennett.
I heard BB King. I was like, I think he'd be a great Board of Ed.
Great on the Board of Ed, right? BBK.
Yeah. How is it? I don't know, but the blues is fantastic.
I tell you what, how was the meeting? It was wonderful. BBK.
Were you following the Board of Ed, everything that was going on? Like, or you were like, damn, are they really talking it? Like,
I don't care.
You're one of those?
I don't care. Yeah. I know you're not supposed to not care. I moved here for schools, kind of, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. My wife cares. She looks into it. And also, I know Deirdre well, and I know that she's a brilliant woman.
Yeah.
And I've talked to her about the education system here many, many, many times, and I like what she's had to say. So I was like, I already know who I'm voting for, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Right now, she's smart and very attractive, by the way, Ileana,
Yes,
as I point out every time we talk about it.
I've got like 3 felonies. I can't even vote anyway. So,
But you voted for Deirdre anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
You voted for Deirdre.
4th felony for voting for Deirdre, right?
I did one of the Chicago votes. You know?
But those are 3 great candidates that got elected. So, you know what? The school systems and whatever, it's better days ahead. And Ileana, Ileana, you're the one that got those 3 on. I mean, you had to. She worked really hard because we could not get a politician on this show if our life depended on it, right? Basically,
They were. To be fair, I didn't even try that hard. I asked them. They said yes right away.
Oh, I thought you tried really hard.
No, I didn't even try. I was like, hey, you guys want to be in podcast? Oh, yeah, sure.
Listen, you could have gotten a lot more out of that.
I know. I could have.
I was under the impression you worked a little harder, Ileana, to get those guests on. Because I've been going crazy trying to get guests to come on the show, thinking, my God, look what she's doing all the work. I didn't realize that. You just called them and asked.
It was that easy.
Well, I just called and asked Joe, and he just came. What do you think of that? So,
no, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Actually, Joe, it's difficult because you got a busy schedule.
I got a busy schedule.
And he made it. He did.
Yeah, Joe was like, I could have February of 2026. He's like, I'm available Wednesday at 5. You know? I'm like, well, if you got a cancellation before that, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you used material of the battles that happen online and social media with Maple and South Orange? There's always a lot of drama. Have you seen it, or your wife tells you like, "Oh my God, did you see this?" Like,
I think what's more funny is the battles are interesting because they're ridiculous.
Do you know all the players, like all the groups?
I'm starting to get it. I'm
Okay.
starting to get it.
Which one do you know?
Well, I mean, I'm in all the groups.
Oh, you mean Soma Lounge,
So I'm in
Maple
Soma
and
Lounge,
Mom, Soma Talks, all those,
I'm a
Soma
mom,
Dads.
I'm a dad, I'm
Maple
a
and
talk,
Mom, yeah,
I'm
okay.
everything. I got them all. I got them all.
And which one is the most funniest one? You're like, I cannot believe this is happening.
The free group. That's the funniest one.
The Maple Dads?
No, the free group.
The free group.
The group where people give away stuff.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because the things people will give away, you'd be like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, I saw one the other day was, who wants all of these eggshells for your compost bin? They were giving away eggshells for and I was like, well, no one's gonna. And then you look through the comments, like, 38 people are arguing and fighting. I'll take no. If nobody else takes them, how many do you want? I only want 3 eggshells. I want 15 eggshells. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Right. I asked first.
Yeah.
You know that I just got back. I was on the Maple Dads. I think it's called Maple Dads site. I was on it.
Soma Dads.
Soma Dads. I was on. I remember. I don't know. For some reason, I don't know what happened. I wasn't on anymore. So I'm back on it, and it's so different than these other sites because. It's like, hey, anybody have a lawnmower that I could buy? Oh, yeah, I have one. There is absolutely no animosity. There's no
Are you saying my
fighting.
group is drama?
Yeah, so
Maplewood Moms is a whole thing, man.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they say Summer Talk is bad, but that one, Maplewood Moms takes all the credit.
But to get us
they take it to the next level.
The question was like, you answer a question. Maplewood Moms, like the questions are like the 19 questions that they got to read. But the Maplewood Dads was just like, like a, hey, do you promise like, to be like a good guy? And like, yeah, boom, you're in. You know what I mean? Like, the honor system.
No, but I agree with you. I feel like Maplewood Mom is like a Karen group.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. If I that's the stuff that I read on the train. Like I used to read New York Times newspapers.
Right.
Now I go on that.
God, now I feel bad that Soma Talk is not at that level that people like. I find it interesting. I gotta tell my members, you gotta bring in your A game.
Yeah, Soma Talks has its strengths as well. What Soma Talks basically, she doesn't kick anybody off for their politics. Right wing, left wing, center wing.
But come on, there's a lot of drama. We can talk a lot about everything that's going on.
What I like is you could actually get a point of view that's completely different than yours, and you could read about it and say, I didn't realize someone like that existed.
He's a fan of Maplewood Mom. That caught me off guard.
I love Maplewood Moms. Yeah. I got invited into it by another. So I
don't say it. They're going to kick you out by being here.
A person, and it was fantastic. It was the greatest thing because there's certain moms. Again, it's hey, does anybody have a good nanny? Super helpful.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Wonderful. And then there's some comment that's like, actually, they're not called nannies. They're called child care professionals. And we and then there's a comment on that one, and it's like, oh, this is
continue to work the nanny. I'm giving you a warning. Right?
I have a group for parents. It's called Soma Parents, but it's not.
Yeah.
like Maplewood Mom or Soma Dad.
Soma Parents is strange because it's
very mellow. It's very mellow.
Yeah, and
well, we didn't want to make
no
it drama.
use for that. I have no use for that.
Right. You know,
It's all entertainment to me.
Oh, entertainment. Well, then it would be. Have you been in Soma Justice?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's.
I thought you did.
You don't want to be in Soma Justice. Yeah, well,
If you think Maplewood Moms take it to that level, that one takes it twice.
Oh, that's
level.
great.
Now in Brooklyn, was there this gaggle of social media groups, neighborly?
It's Brooklyn's too big.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's too big. There's too many things.
Right, yeah.
It's enormous.
So you might have groups, but they're not living within a block of each other. Like here, that's the thing. You're busy yelling with somebody, you realize they live across the street from you.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing about these two towns is like online it seems like it's very big, and then you drive through, you're like, I've met everyone.
Yeah.
Like I know everyone here.
Right.
Like, you know.
Hey, quick question. Have you seen a difference between families in Soma and families in Brooklyn? Do you see there's any difference?
Yeah, there's no Dominicans here.
That's true.
Just one.
Just one.
Yep.
There's a lot of Dominicans in Brooklyn?
Of course, there's Dominicans everywhere in New York.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Brooklyn's a totally different world.
Did you lived in? Did you ever live in New York, Ileana? I'm not sure about.
Only when until I was 5 years old.
Oh, did you own a place or
Mom.
did you rent?
Yeah.
I was a baby. I was a kid.
Peeling off cash at 5 years old. How much do I need for that?
So you were living in Manhattan?
No, we were living in the Bronx.
Oh, in the Bronx.
Yeah, in the Bronx.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah.
No,
Did you-
my
did
mom
you-
was living in the Jewish area, actually.
Oh, okay, that was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Safe
According to
neighborhood.
her, yeah.
So that's why you like Jews. She's a big fan of Jewish people. She loves me,
Yeah.
you know, which is why I'm stuck doing this podcast forever because, you know, I wouldn't, you know.
The Jewish, our Jewish
the-
listener are going to think that I am obsessed with Jewish men.
She likes Jewish men. Yeah, she wants
she's
to meet
wearing
a
a
wealthy.
Star of David right now. I can
Is
see
that
it.
a Star of David?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where?
Oh, look at that! It's a tattoo, actually. It's a tattoo.
Yeah,
When did
this
you
is
get that tattoo?
Best on her face. That's the crazy part. She really.
Israel.
Yeah.
Illy stands with my people.
Yes.
She stands with my people.
Oh my God.
So what's the schedule for you like? Are you working or is it as a stand up full time now? You're writing. What's your life? Tell
I've
us about
done
your
1,000 jobs, my friend. You know, I wrote a TV show. I produced a TV show. I wrote for Weekend Update for a while. I've, you know, a bunch of different things. Right now, it's just stand up. So I'm on the road quite a bit, doing. You know, right now it's corporate season, which is crazy.
Okay, corporate gigs are big. They're good.
Yeah, and I do a ton.
You ever do cruise ships?
Yes.
All right.
yes.
Yeah.
Is it? Do you like the cruise? Doing cruise comedy?
You know, you work 2 nights a week and you go on a cruise ship. It's not terrible. You know, I think it's you know, people. I've had worse jobs. You know, have you tried hot tar roofing? Way worse.
I did a cruise ship once and I bombed so bad that I hid in my room the whole time.
Did you really?
I was like the white moon. It was like the worst show ever.
That's great.
I did not leave the room. I was like, my wife asked her to go down and you get me some food and bring it back.
Which line were you on? That's
Oh, this
fantastic.
is so many years ago.
Yeah?
Carnival, I think it was. Yes, it's going-
the trailer park of the seas.
Pretty much, right, yeah. Where basically they would say, "Hey, that's the comedian,"
Yeah.
you know, and they're on a cruise and they're dressed in overalls. You know what I mean? Like,
So
Did
here's
you
the thing
say
about,
before you have finished your? Did you say that you have do comedy in England?
yeah.
What is the difference with the public in England and here? Like when you do comedy, like how did
So I think that
are they more drier or they're more into it or it's tough crowd? Like
mad cow disease jokes fall flat.
because I know that their sense of humor is London's sense of humor is completely different than the United States.
I'll disagree with you on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, stand-up comedy is it's an American art form first and
Okay.
foremost, and so still the bulk of the innovations in it start here, especially in New York City. So
Yeah.
New York comics are going to be for the most part the most on the cutting edge of what comedy is, and so when you go to other markets, especially like Australia, Dubai, both places I've worked where it's like these are relatively new to stand up, it's almost like going back in time. You're like, oh, these are all the jokes from the 80s. Oh, this is so wild. And culturally things are different. Like I wrote a good buddy of mine is one of those famous comedians in Poland.
Poland, wow.
When he said that, it was one of the weirdest things ever.
Yeah.
I was
Poland.
working in Dubai, and he's asking me about New York, and I'm like, "What's Poland like? And do you work the clubs?" And he goes, "Well, I'm actually kind of famous in Poland." And I was like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." But he was doing a roast for the world's strongest man, who also happens to be a politician and a rapper. Hilarious.
Oh my God.
So I wrote all these roast jokes because I've written on a couple of roasts, and I sent them to him, and he's like, "These are all fantastic in America." He goes, "But in Poland, this isn't funny." Yeah. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Basically, masculinity's everything here."
Yes, right.
And he goes, "All you have to do is just call him gay." Like just it's
that's
the whole thing. Just
that's
like
the whole,
that's basically make all the jokes just about him being gay, and it'll crush. It's like it's basically being in 1984 again, which is not your favorite time, but you would have loved the jokes.
Not your favorite time.
It's a true story. So I worked with, he was a friend of mine, worked in a store together many, many years ago, and he was Polish, and he knew how to speak Polish, and so of course, me being 20-something years, I'm an idiot, he's teaching me Polish, but I only want to know how to curse.
Of course, yeah.
Right, you know. So,
the important stuff.
Right, exactly right, yeah, so a big Polish guy walks in once, and he goes, and so he says, he goes, walk over to that guy. It's a funny joke. He'll laugh and go and say, and what should I say? He goes, say, "Yo, you twat," yo, you something. But anyway, it means go fuck your mother. Which in Poland is basically like that's it. World War III. You know. Yeah. So I said to the guy,
God.
right? The guy is coming. I mean, the guy just swinging around. And he's coming after me, and but yeah, in Poland that was basically it. If you mother jokes, that if you want to, that's.
That's where they're like.
That's it. You don't tell mother jokes. Yeah.
No mother jokes, no gay jokes.
Right.
So out of all the countries you've been, which one has been your toughest audience that you're like, oh, these are tough? By their reaction.
Okay, so Manhattan.
Really? Wow.
Man, when I first moved here, I worked so many
God.
dumps. And I remember once I worked at this place called Ha Comedy Club in Times Square on 46th Street. And it was below the McDonald's in Times Square. Mm-hmm. And it was such a fucking dump. And the people who ran it were complete monsters. But every once in a while, the sewer line would back up because of all the grease that came down from McDonald's. Yeah. And they would try to keep the show going. And the whole place would smell like sewage because it was bubbling up through the floors.
Oh, my God.
It was fucking disgusting. They would run shows at 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, and 1:30. So you could do 7 or 8 shows a night if you wanted. They had 2 rooms. You'd run back and forth. 6:30 was always a little rough. 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, great. Super fun shows.
Right. Then the real drunks are coming in.
Yeah. And then 1:30, it was always like 5 kids who were like 14 years old from the Bronx who should not be there.
Right, yeah.
I remember my buddy Dan Hershon, who actually lives in town now. He's a video editor, a very great producer. He was a comic at the time, and he was on stage. He's very funny, super funny guy, really intelligent, heady jokes. And he's up there telling jokes, getting nothing. And he just hears this. There's only 4 kids in the back. And this one kid goes, "Y'all ain't funny, motherfucker." He just goes, "Okay," and puts the mic in the sand and walks off stage.
Oh my God.
He's like,
I guess you're right.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Soma Talks podcast.
Here's how disgusting New York City is. A doctor from New York City went to Africa. He contracted Ebola. He came back to New York City. He then rode the subway all over the city. All over. No one else got Ebola. That's right, the germs already on the train. Beat the heck out of Ebola before anybody else can even get sick. Are you coming on my turf? Are you the Yahad? You're from Africa? I'm from the Bronx. You want to do this? I got friends. Bring it.
Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to navigate the school system to meet your child's needs? Educational Equity Advisors is here to help. Led by Alyssa Malaspina, a board-certified special education advocate with over 25 years of experience, Educational Equity Advisors specializes in guiding parents through the complexities of school districts, including securing 504 plans, IEPs, and out-of-district placements when necessary. Educational Equity Advisors believes that income should never be a barrier to getting your child the education they deserve. That's why Educational Equity Advisors offers free consultations and sliding scale payment options to make their services accessible to all families. Discover how Educational Equity Advisors can empower you to be your child's strongest advocate. Visit Educational Equity Advisors today and take the first step toward educational equity for your family. For more information, please reach out to educationalequityadvisors.com. Again, that's educationalequityadvisors.com. And we're back. Soma Talks Podcast. I'm Lee Navin with Ileana Castillo and Joe Larson. So Ileana, while we were off the air, wanted to talk about her favorite subject here in Maplewood.
Of course.
And, oh, by the way, you just heard some clips. We just played some Joe Larson clips right at the end of the commercial break. That was Joe actually performing live at a few of the locales. And we'll get to where you can find where Joe's going to be appearing next. So we got that in just a few minutes. But, Ileana, before that, we wanted to talk about your favorite subject, which is...
So first off, she brought up, do you know about Adirondack chairs? And I've sat in them. That's all I know. Like,
That's how far you
they're
know.
a very uncomfortable chair.
Chairs are not for just sitting anymore.
That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm learning. So she said, "I'm going to tell you all about it." I said, "I want to hear about this on air." Let's. So what is this Adirondack?
But first off, say Adirondacks. It's always fun the way Ileana says it with
Oh,
her.
God. I'm horrible saying
Yeah?
that. Do not judge.
With her
Adirondack.
I'm sorry. What?
that's pretty good. You did.
Adirondacks?
Yeah, I think you
That's
got
what
it. Sure,
it is?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
at the beginning, I couldn't say
Yeah,
it.
it sounds more like an archaeological dig
could-
we're on.
Yeah, like the first couple of times she was like Adirondack duty chairs
Yeah,
or whatever.
whatever.
Yeah, it was like. But so, Ileana, as we've learned, the Adirondacks chairs basically, if you have two presented on the front lawn, that means that you may perhaps be swingers. So,
Yes.
so these are the things that you probably didn't learn because you moved here during the pandemic. So now you know. So if you have a couple Adirondacks chairs in your front yard and people are knocking on your door all the time to say hello.
Or people being extra friendly with you. There might be a reason.
Wow,
Yeah.
that explains why I was able to fuck that guy. Jeez,
It was easy.
that's so exciting.
Hey, I love your chairs. Oh,
Yeah.
come on in. Let me show you
Come
the rest
on
of the
in.
house, right?
Show you the bedroom. How you doing?
Oh, my God. You really didn't know about it?
No, so wait a minute. If you have two Adirondack chairs in your front yard,
Even if you have
On the
one,
lo-
it doesn't matter.
It's supposed to be on the lawn, right?
Yeah,
on the
gotta
lawn.
be on the lawn.
Yeah, on the lawn, not
Now,
on your
has
porch
anybody
or whatnot.
tested this theory? Have you actually knocked on a door and been like,
I personally
"How you
have
doing?
not.
What's
No,
good?"
no.
I found out neighbors that live down the street from us. We're not there anymore. They were in fact swingers. They had the chairs, and I would walk by. She'd be sitting on the chair on the lawn, and I always would. I'd be walking by and go, "Hey, how you doing?" And she was not nice to me at all. You know, like I'd be like, "Oh," and she'd be, "I'm reading now," and she'd actually, "I'm reading now." And she'd go back there.
She'd put the chairs away when you walked by.
Basically,
This is not what we
I was completely blown off, like, and not even understanding that I was being blown off in the harshest of ways. I'm reading now, with her sunglasses, everything, and that was actually Ileana. But,
Of course.
It was the "I have a boyfriend" of chairs.
So seemingly this exists. Seemingly I'm not a party to whatever it is. Their club, they won't have me as a member. So
I heard there's a group called Soma Swap.
I've heard that
Is that
too.
now? Is that for actually swapping chairs?
Well,
or
you
is
know
that-
that. Well, you're right. Well, you know that we live in a community that's very judgy. So unfortunately, these people have to lay low and do their thing under the table because
But
so
it's a Facebook group, right? So they're
I'm sure they
in
are.
theory,
And you
using
would
their real
think that
names.
Soma is so open-minded, but for these kind of things,
we-
married couple can be very judgmental with marriages that are open. They're trying to protect their husbands or their wife. Like, I don't want my husband near that, or
fascinating?
Yeah, we had a friend.
You don't know none of this.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the
You gotta hang out more with Lee.
and apparently the pineapple too, right? The pineapple.
I've heard about the upside down pineapple
Yeah.
from cruise ships. You see that on like the door. They'll
Yeah.
put them on the door,
Right,
and you
yeah.
go, "Oh."
I've seen some. Well, one of the candidates said that they did see a pineapple upside down
Yeah,
when
that's right.
they
I
were.
said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they were.
Yeah, I think that was Bimmel actually, right?
So
yeah,
between
Oh,
the
you had to
pineapple and the
out
chairs.
he goes, because I knew not to knock on that door. They might be busy.
Why, you're planning to put a pineapple now?
No, I can't even find one. That's how popular they are.
Around these parts.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I did see at Home Depot they were selling a whole combo pack of Adirondack chairs and pineapples. I didn't understand the combination, but
Well, sales are up apparently since we started talking about it. So,
really?
yeah, that's what we've been told,
Wow.
right? Here at the local Home
Yeah.
Depot. Right?
They ran out.
We should be getting a commission. Yeah.
how audacious does it have to be to see a couple of Adirondack chairs and be like, let's go talk to those people. Like,
Exactly.
how do you start that conversation?
I don't know. You know, like, is there a wink? You know, is there some type of you can pull up
Is
the
it a
ear?
special knock that goes with the?
Yeah.
Because you could be like, hey, I see you got a couple Adirondack chairs. They're like,
Or you send
yeah,
a
what do
gift
you,
basket.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
Like, can we meet or something?
I guess a special knock like that.
I'm not saying this by experience.
I'm just saying you're very oddly specific.
Very specific.
Yeah, gift basket
I'm being
with some
very
pineapple.
specific, yeah.
Yeah, we had a friend in the city. She was.
You imagine?
She got divorced and she ended up with a couple. This was like 10 years ago. And she ends up sleeping with this couple. And she tells my wife about it. She's like, "Aren't you happy for me?" My wife's like, "No, I'm not happy for you. What are you telling me this for?" But
Why was your wife not happy for this lady?
My wife was like, she's like, talk about a midlife crisis that's crashed badly. So I just think it's. I don't know, maybe I'm a little older now, but maybe this is a 40-year-old. We just got divorced, or we're getting divorced, or we're on our way to getting. So I don't know why. I don't know anybody that participates in this, you know.
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, I met your wife the other day when she knocked on my door asking about the pineapples.
That was her, right?
Yeah.
She's like, my husband's home.
Hey, you could always send a pineapple cake to your
She's like,
neighbor.
your wife won't like them, so it's.
If someone give me a pineapple cake, I'm like, are they trying to tell me something?
I didn't realize that in this small of a community there was that much going on.
There's some stories out there.
I mean,
remember the days of MOL? There were tons of stories about that. Even the party about the keys.
Oh, the key. Okay, I've heard about that. That's back to the 70s, right?
Yeah, right. That goes back to the Carpenters.
Mm-hmm,
I know. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bring it full circle here.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. So, Joe, you got the laughs in the loft.
Yes.
So you're going to do that. That's once a month, every Wednesday.
Once a month, every Wednesday.
I said that's so wrong.
Once a month, every Wednesday.
Every month, every
or
Wednesday.
every
Wednesday,
month,
every day.
first Wednesday.
Okay,
One or
so
the
once
other.
a month, first Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the
you're there.
The new director is awesome at SOPAC. Lana's spectacular, and so she's decided. She and I have come up with this idea. We're going to theme a lot of the shows.
Okay.
And the next one, December, is going to be Home for the Holidays. So it's all comedians from Jersey, all comedians from Essex, all comedians from. So we have on the bill John Fish, who's spectacular. I don't know if you know John.
Yeah, I know the name.
Yeah. He's done Letterman 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
We've got, let's see here, Khalees Hawkins. She's written for a ton of every show on TV just about. And one other, who was it? I don't know. And Gethard might stop by. We'll see. He's maybe Chris Gethard might pop in.
Yep.
And he's a West Orange. He was born and raised in West Orange. Last time he did my show, he did 30 minutes just on 2 blocks within downtown South Orange. It was fantastic.
Oh, that would have been
grew
good.
up right here.
So I know Chris. He's kind of like a guy with me, like a balding guy, a little bit, and he's very slow, meticulous delivery. Is that who I'm thinking of?
Nope.
I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah,
but I know this other guy I'm talking about.
You're thinking about Veter, probably Gary Veter.
There we go.
He's done my show a couple times.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Gary Veter. Yeah, Gary's a funny dude.
Let me ask you this: who's your favorite comedian?
Lee. What's that?
Lee Navlin.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Look at you getting now.
First time anyone's ever said that.
Yeah. And last. It was
Absolutely.
Sometimes a joke doesn't land.
You know what? I never had a joke that landed.
Really, you got to have some favorite globally. Who's your favorite comedian?
Of course, there's all the classics. I got to meet Brian Regan the other day. I was doing shows in Philly, and he stopped into the club and hung out, and he's fantastic. He's one of the greatest comedians of all time. Chris Rock's one of my favorites.
Oh, you like Chris Rock?
I love Chris.
Yep.
It's so fun watching him work out in the city because when he works out new jokes, he doesn't perform them. He sits on the stool and reads them. And if he gets a laugh, then he can. And I asked him about it once.
That's Rock?
Yeah. So I asked him about it because we're at the cellar shooting the shit. And I'm like, why aren't you, like, I've never seen you just sit with him.
Yeah.
And he goes, with all the new stuff, I just want to see if the words hit. And then he goes, if that hits, then I know I can put Chris Rock into it and make it.
Oh, so that's interesting. So he'll read it like a very just like the
monotone,
like the man went to the bar, had a drink, and
totally.
and just like that. And then if people like, oh, I like that idea of the bar and the drinking, then he'll rock.
Then he'll
the man
Chris Rock,
went to the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was super fun watching him build that and watching him work that way. And there's so many comics that are just like you don't know about that are just spectacular.
You know which comedy I really do like? I don't know if you guys have heard about him, Anthony Jeselnik.
yeah.
Like, I love that guy. You haven't seen it? He was part of the roast of Charlie Sheen.
Oh, okay.
And Donald Trump, he was there.
So
he was
does the
really
roast.
good.
Yeah, with Jeff Ross. Yep.
Jeselnik's one of those comics. He just tries to find the worst possible subjects to talk about.
Who?
Yeah.
Jeselnik.
Oh, Jeselnik, yes.
And try to make jokes about him, and that's his whole challenge. He was the head writer for Fallon the first 2 years that Fallon was on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he wrote all clean jokes during that, which is crazy.
You know who I did like? The one that
guy from
commits suicide.
The guy from the Republican primary?
No,
That guy with
the famous comedian that...
Which comedian that committed suicide? That's a lot of them.
Oh, he was always on the roast. He was the master of the roast.
Chico from Chico and the Man? That was before.
You know what?
I think... you're talking about Geraldo? Because
Geraldo.
He didn't commit suicide. He just partied way too hard one night.
Oh
Yeah. I mean, I guess a suicide, but it was.
He was
It's funny if he committed suicide, right?
Yeah. I do like that she's like anybody that does drugs.
Yeah, I mean, that guy...
Committed suicide. How? ALS.
He was my
who
favorite
actually-
one.
My favorite comic currently performing, besides Joe Larson, is Jessica Carson.
Jess is the greatest.
I love you. Got to check out Jessica Carson.
Yeah.
Ileana.
Carson?
She's
She's better than Greg Giraldo.
she plays the crowd, you know, and there's her and Rickles. I mean, in my mind,
Jess has one of my favorite jokes. She goes, she's talking about being a lesbian. She goes, men ask dumb questions. I was like, who's the man? Who's the man in the relationship? She goes, I guess I am because I don't listen and I'm dead inside.
she's
the best.
She is so funny, and she South Orange, but
Yeah, she went to Columbia.
She went in Columbia?
She's playing international. I mean, national, international. I mean, she's Vegas. I mean, she's
huge now.
Yeah. But the
What's her name again? Jessica?
Jessica Carson. Yeah, with a
Carson.
K. With a K. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people knew she was in Columbia, or do they?
Yeah, she's Zach Braff's stepsister.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she does a thing where if you ever took a comedy class like I used to teach, which by the way, teaching comedy is just basically get your mouth closer to the mic. That's basically how you teach comedy. Just what else do I do? Well, hopefully you're funny. But what she does is she turns away from the crowd, puts her back to the crowd, and then she'll sit there and be like, Jessica, you're having a bad night. I know that you could really go for a box of Oreo cookies right about now, but you're not. You're stuck on this stage with this horrible grip, and her back is turned to the audience, and it's just
she plays her inner monologue. It's wonderful.
It's amazing. Very, very talented. Yeah. Super talented. And so you had her at the Loft.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
I have some monsters coming out. It's a cool show because again we're close enough to the city, and being on a Wednesday, and being that these are all kind of my friends, I call in favors.
Yeah.
So it's honestly most of these comics come back. It's like just now headlines to the main theater.
Right. Yeah, that's right. She does SOPAC itself.
And now
recently.
I think she might be too big for it and be heading down to NJPAC. But
I think she's doing the Beacon Theater, or she just did the Beacon.
She just did
the Beacon.
Yeah.
So but it's one of those things where like the comics come in, they do my show, and then you can also see them again a year later for $85.
Yeah.
So it's I call in a lot of favors.
It's a lot of It's if New Jersey Transit's operating, right? Then it's a hop, skip, and a jump.
I'll tell you the amount of comics that's why I love having like Gordon in my back pocket or David in my back pocket. All these guys because I'm like, holy shit, the trains aren't running. Get out here.
Yeah, Gordon, how close are you? Right?
Yeah. He lives 2 blocks away, so he's my always.
Have you ever thought about doing something about Maplewood South Orange? I mean, there's so much material you can use.
I mean, for the show, I always write about it, but it's one of those things where it's is it universal enough? I don't know. That's
when I used to do stand-up locally. I was always kind of stuck with like, should I do local jokes that only work here, or do you want to just go with your material that you might do in New York or you might do elsewhere?
So there's this thing,
I never quite figured out if it was the right play to do the local stuff, because then I was kind of dead with it. I was like, I can't use it anywhere else. It was like a one-hit wonder. Or in my case, one-hit failure.
Well, local and politics are kind of the same thing, where it's like you have to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on all of the time. So it's relatively difficult. Whereas typically when you write, you want to be as close to truth as you can. Like you really want to talk about your life or how you feel about it, because although all situations are different, no one's been through your situation, everyone's felt your feelings. We all have the same feelings, and the closer you can get to how you feel and how you interact with the world, the more universal the thing will be. So the more specific, the more universal it'll be. when it comes to a locale, that's not about you. That's about the locale. Or if it comes to politics, it's not about you. It's about the politics. And those things are constantly changing, and you're not necessarily from there. So it's kind of hard to write just about Soma and then have it be universal without really painting a scene.
No, but I
think
mean
it'd
like
be
a show. Like
a TV show?
Yeah, or something
Oh,
like
you're talking
that.
about like a like a sitcom about
Yeah,
something.
sitcom. That would be
I
great.
think the three of us, we get off the air, we should start writing one right now.
You guys should
so
write.
Who's
There's
playing you again?
Sophia Vergara.
Right, that's right. Yes. So,
She's playing me.
yeah. So I'm so many actors that
That's
could
great.
potentially play me.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
my
Let's
God.
start with it.
Who would you want?
I mean, probably Clooney.
Yeah,
you know, I'm just-
he was also alive in the 70s.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you need the older ones for sure. Yeah.
John Wayne when he's
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rickles just died, so we can't go there.
By the way, by the way, Rickles was my guy.
Oh.
Rodney and Rickles. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, one of the first times I performed, Rodney Dangerfield saw me perform. True story.
Really?
So this was Dangerfield. I never told you this story, Ileana. My uncle was the booker at Dangerfield's.
Hold on.
Yeah, so this is going back. Marvin Drager was his name. This is going
Wow.
back when I was. So I'm right out of college, and I decide I'm going to get a job as a comedian. That's how stupid I am. I'm going to get a job as a comedian. You know? So my father's like, well, you better call your uncle. I'm like, why am I calling my uncle? You call you because he's a booker at Dangerfield. Give him a call. So I called him up, and he told me to come down. You know, and I thought he was going to like interview me, give me a job mopping floors. Instead, it was like an open mic. So he put me right up on the stage. So Dangerfield was there. He was just kind of milling around the theater. You know? Right.
Because he would see he had a private room down there in the basement.
Yeah.
After he died, it opened up and became the green room. And I swear to God, didn't matter what surface you touched, you would test positive for cocaine. That was. I don't even think it was a room. I think the walls were white, but they were not painted that way. It was, but you could go into his green room, and it was still set up the way that he had it set up. And and apparently he would just walk around there. He'd go up, in a robe, half naked.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Like
He
crazy,
was like, right. He was just like in a robe walking around.
Yeah.
I think he walked up to me, said something after my set. He's like, "Nice try, kid. Nice
Hey,
try.
hey,
Hey, nice try, kid."
nice try, kid.
But and then that was a highlight of my career in stand up. So it's like straight downhill after that.
First day, best day.
Right,
Yeah,
that's right.
it's
Yeah,
all over
that's
after
right.
that.
Yeah, I'm like, I can do this. Yeah, 20 years later, I'm like, I don't know if I can still do this.
But I was going to ask you guys, I think Melbourne has like a sitcom. I always see it on Facebook. Have you seen that sitcom? It's a couple of parents and
is it so like a web series? We did a web
web
series.
series?
Remember my web
yeah, but
series?
they have one too in Melbourne, and it's a lot of comedians there. I don't know
yeah?
if you've seen it.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a web
forgot.
series-
Welcome to Melbourne or something Melbourne. I forgot now.
But remember our web series, Goodstein? She played a dead doctor.
Yeah, that was my scene, a dead doctor.
After she lied there for like an hour, we put a chalk thing around her. It was a great sport, you know.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, it was a little cold. I remember.
Yeah, like on the ground in front of Garubo, I think. It was.
Yes, it was in front of Garubo.
But then the guy Garubo's coming out. I was like, how long are you guys gonna be doing this for? Like, but anyway,
What was the premise of it? Was it?
Because it was a web series, it was a comedian. It was basically about a local knucklehead who's a lawyer, lives in Maplewood actually, and his best friend's a rabbi, who's by the way is played by Ian Grodman, who I don't know if you know, but he's the head of the Maplewood Democratic Committee. So used to be vice mayor. So so we did it. We went to LA. We won a shitload of awards, like at the Los Angeles web series. We went to Rome. Yeah, so it had got optioned. Nothing ever happened with it.
Of course, yeah.
It sat on someone's desk for 5 years.
Absolutely. That's always how it works. It's so funny when you get into it, and the first time you get into a room and somebody buys something, you're like, well, this is it.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are
yeah.
taking off.
Yeah. Is that
And
right?
then,
Exactly.
yeah, and then the checks just stop coming.
But that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And you can't sell it to anybody else.
The number's
'cause it's been
disconnected.
optioned.
You call
Dang.
up the number, and
Absolutely.
it doesn't work. The number you have reached is no longer in service.
I always told you should do a sitcom in Maplewood Soma because there's so much you could navigate with that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe we will. I think
We sounds a lot of people.
Well, we should do maybe we should do a podcast first.
Yeah, let's give the podcast a try.
Let's see how that works out. But basically, what happened with the podcast was Ileana. I ran into her. She's like, "Well, you want to do a podcast?" Like, sure. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like 6 months later, we're on the phone 20 times a day, right? We're emailing.
But we do meet a lot of good people
Yeah, we
at the
do,
end.
we
We've
do.
met a really.
But you know what's
lot
good?
of-
We're at the beginning we were kind of butting heads a little bit. Now I think we're like on the same page. We
Figured it out?
Yeah, we figured it out. But yeah, at the beginning it was kind of like.
Should we talk about this? Should we not talk about this?
Yeah, you can't mention them because you mention them. Can we have this on? I want comedy. She wants business. You know. But anyway, I think we got it going on.
You just figured out how to shoot the shit.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Pretty much.
And then when I said, "Hey, Joe Larson wants to come on," is he attractive? So that was
Well, you know, they say podcasts are like assholes. Everyone has
that's
one.
right. Yes. That's right.
So congratulations, you guys.
And I think we have the hottest podcast in all of Soma right now. So
I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know. There's a couple of podcasts out there. I know about two at least.
Actually, a friend of mine does another podcast. I like her a lot. And, Kat Dillette. And,
she's one of them.
Kat's awesome.
Chris Gethard's is enormous. So, I mean, I don't know if...
we're not there.
You guys got to put Chris on this.
I'm 100%.
Who's Chris?
Chris Gethard? He's a very famous comedian. Grew up in West Orange.
Oh, the one you mentioned prior? Okay.
Yeah. He ran a podcast called Beautiful Anonymous, and he also, or still does. He had a TV show on for years and years and years. It was on Public Access, then moved to like Comedy Central for a while, something like that. And
what was the name of the show you remember?
I think it was called The Chris Gethard Show.
Oh, The Chris Gethard. Okay.
And then he had another podcast called New Jersey is the World. Where he just talked about New Jersey, and they just shut that down. So
why?
Well, because no one cares.
Right.
Because it's a podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, some podcasts make it.
Yes, some do.
Like,
3 of them. There was 3.
That's
three.
right.
And the rest of us pay for space.
That's right. Don't forget about our podcast. But we're gonna we have a camera here. Eventually, we're gonna start using the camera. So,
I don't know. Some people want us to go live. I don't know. We want to do that.
I think you guys should take calls. I think it'd be fun.
Many people have said that they want calls, but it's.
But then no calls are coming. You'd be sitting here going, I hope somebody calls
Well, you
in.
have to screen the calls
Well,
first.
what you got to do is you do it voicemail style. Right?
Yeah.
People can call in, leave a voicemail, and you guys will address the calls on the air. You can play the
yeah,
call.
yeah, okay.
All right, listener X, Y, and Z. So here's what we got with the Adirondack chairs, or here's what you're, like that sort of thing.
Or can we do it like live on YouTube and we see the comments, all their questions?
Yeah, I mean you can do that too. But
Yeah. But we've done it kind of like with taking questions off of Soma Talks or whatever.
But not live. Like if we're live right now, people are live. Like you know.
All right, so.
Something to think about.
Something to think about, yeah. I hate thinking. That's the problem. This is easy. We come in.
Shoot for the hip.
Right. We'll record Ileana Day. When's it going to be out? And I'll be because we edit it on my end. My son actually does the editing.
Nice.
And he adds music. He's really talented. But I'll be like, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday. Ileana be like, Tuesday. I'm like, all right.
She's the boss, huh?
Right.
She's the slave driver over
I'll
here.
be like, myself.
You got jokes today, huh?
So you got the laughs in the loft, and then where are you gonna be on the road next? What are some of your
this is corporate season, so I'm banging around corporate stuff. I got a bunch of stuff coming up in. Let's see here. Next year, I've got Minneapolis. I've got all this. If you go to joelarsoncomedy.com, you'll see a very outdated website, but the calendar's usually up to date.
The calendar's up to date. Okay.
The calendar is a Google
What's
calendar.
the website again?
Joe Larson Comedy. JoeLarsonComedy.com. JoeLarsonComedy.com.
All right. Yeah. Joe Larson Comedy. So Ileana, can she make comments? Can she review? Can she give a Yelp review? And
Liz,
Yelp review.
I actually wanted to create a website. This is my little brainchild. Called Yelp,
okay,
where we Yelp review Yelp reviews, because
that would be funny. That would be interesting.
A Yelp review doesn't actually tell you about the restaurant. It tells you more about the person than it does about the restaurant.
Right,
that's true. That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so true.
She's writing that down, which means it's now hers.
Exactly.
It's her intellectual property, Joe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. This podcast never comes out. What happened?
No, I know.
That's right. So, Ileana, we're going to wrap things up in a moment. Anything you wanted to add? Anything that Joe should know about you? Your measurements?
When's the last time you got into a fist fight?
Ooh.
I've never had a.
What?
Never been in a fist fight.
been?
No.
No.
All right, well, there's
I
a
know
first
this
time
good
forever.
little angel.
A couple close calls, though.
No. I've been.
A couple close calls.
Coco. No. I'm this good little angel.
All right, Lee, when's the last time you were in a fist fight?
The last time I
Or
was
actually, you know what? Let's go. Ileana, when's the last time you shit your pants?
The last time I shit my pants was actually a couple hours ago.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've ever shit my
Yeah, I
pants
was like,
either.
Okay, you were a child at one point. You shit your pants at some point.
Oh, well, when I was a baby,
I do like
maybe.
that you're like, even as a baby, I came out potty trained. That's how,
well, you know what I did?
that's how perfect I was.
So on our
I was in the Jewish neighborhood of the Bronx called, I don't know, Brooklyn. And
Are you Jewish or not?
No, I'm not Jewish.
Where are you from?
Seattle.
Oh, you're from
Seattle.
Seattle. Here we are an hour into the
Yeah.
podcast. Which just says you grew up in Seattle. How did you
grew
end
up
up?
in Seattle.
I guess comedy. Is that what brought you to
That's
New York?
right.
It
Comedy
was
brought me to
comedy
New York.
brought you to
Or
yeah.
I came
Seattle
to-
is the one way on the other side and
Yeah,
the
West
top,
Coast.
almost
Yeah.
close to Canada.
Vancouver.
That is exactly how
Yeah,
they describe it. Yes.
I'm sorry.
The one on the other side near the top.
Right. Map skills.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I
Not much
know.
of a cartographer, are we?
I know. I was very specific.
Ileana's up there in Seattle.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it to sound like.
Ileana's up there in Seattle. Are you from Canada? Yes. You got a green card and get out.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it to sound this.
It was great.
Very fun.
It was great.
I'm so sorry. He's gonna use that in his comedy. I swear he's gonna use it.
England, that's an island, right? Yes, it is. It's an island. Yes, yes.
I can see him in SOPAC. So I was talking to this girl.
Yeah.
She described Seattle like
Dubai,
this,
that's
this.
halal Vegas, right? That's,
Oh my God.
Now is New Jersey really new?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been here for a while. Should we maybe change the name?
Right. It's about time.
It turns into the
You got
worst
jokes,
comedy
guys.
act of all time.
Yes. This has been a great time, Ileana.
No,
right?
we didn't. How long have you been living here in Maplewood?
Been here about 5 years now.
Yeah. So the
Oh,
pandemic.
you're brand new.
Yeah.
He's such a baby.
I've been here long enough that I am Italian now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
It
you
happened
got-
real quick.
That's what
I
happens
have
in
a
Jersey.
bad Jewish radar. I can never tell who's Jewish, who's not.
Your favorite
But you do
pizzeria,
look-
by the way. What's your favorite
Oh,
pizzeria?
yeah.
Being a West Coast guy in Maplewood, what pizza you? Artie's? Is it?
Whatever doesn't get me ostracized.
Bunnies
Right,
or
yeah.
Reservoir, the Trattoria. There's so many.
I mean, so talking to Gordon Baker Bone, he says Trattoria's what you got to go with.
Trattoria.
really?
Yeah, he's a big fan of that one. But
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know that I have a favorite one.
Yeah, because Jersey is. So I was in Jersey, lived in New York for a long time,
Yeah.
and I was in New York for years, and I was like, the pizza in New Jersey. So I used to, people in New York would
Yeah.
laugh, but I still say the best pizzerias are in this Essex County area.
New Jersey has some
Really?
really
Yeah,
cool
yeah, yeah,
spots.
yeah.
What's your
I
favorite pizza in New Jersey?
You know. You see, here I am. It's
The
on
one
the top
in
of
West
my mind.
Orange?
Yeah,
A lot of people like that one, the one in West Orange.
yeah.
What's that called?
Star Tavern.
Tavern.
Star Tavern, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Bunnies is darn good. But Star
Bunny's
Tavern.
really good. Bunny's
Marty's
have-
is great. Trot is
Yeah.
great. Roman Gourmet is great. But
There's a lot of good ones.
But yeah, so that's why but I'm in New York. I was like, it was like all raised pizzas back then.
That's trash.
Right. Yeah, and I can never figure out why everybody New York City's got the best pizza.
No,
But what's-
it's just because you're drunk. That's all
That's
it is.
right. That's right.
There's you don't have to drive home, and and the bars are open till
Have you
4.
been to Benny Todito's in Hoboken? They give,
No, I
it's
have
the
not.
slices are like they're like 3 slices in one.
Yeah?
You guy gives you a slice and you gotta like hold it like a baby.
That's
you gotta
wonderful.
walk it out as one slice. Yeah.
Volume over pot.
It's amazing. Yeah.
What's your favorite spot to have a drink? Like you're like, oh, I want to wine out. Let me go out and have a drink.
Oh, I just drink while I'm driving around. Just really drive past the schools. Real fast. Well, drinking. I've enjoyed. After the shows, typically we go to Bunnies. grab
Oh,
a-
you guys
grab
go
a-
to Bunnies?
Yeah, we're right over there. Yeah,
It's right there.
Hey,
so
we
it's-
should meet up
yeah.
with them one Wednesday.
Did I say Bunnies? I meant.
So perhaps Joe, if you're ever short on comics and you need to clear the room out, I'm available.
Yeah.
I'm 5 minutes away. Right.
I appreciate that.
Bring
That's
Lee
very
in. It's
kind.
like, all right, we're.
Oh, if you do that, text me. I'll go
You
there
don't have
just
to
to
go.
see it.
Well, here's the truth. By the way, I would put on shows which were regular. She would, and I Facebook and everyone come see my show.
Oh, I
and,
know
and,
where this is going.
Ileana would always put on the invitation. Oh, we'll attend. Of
course.
Always will attend. We'll
Yeah.
attend. We'll attend. We'll attend. And then Ileana, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Oh yeah, I can't wait to see you. Lee, I'm so excited to see your comedy. She never ever showed up to one show.
Not one.
Not
you know
one
why?
show. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not attractive.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. It must have that what it is.
No.
I was attracted enough to get this podcast with her. But,
there you go. She wanted you alone in a room. That's what it was.
So it got to the
Oh my
point where I
God.
would put a seat there with like her name on it, like a
Yeah.
little like Ileana.
Oh, you did
right there in the
not.
front by the.
No, now it makes me feel
in the
bad.
seats
Now I
nobody
feel
wants to
bad.
sit in the front.
It'd be
right.
great if you had just have a huge board of all those pictures put together in a mosaic of her face.
Right.
Just all the empty chairs with her name.
That's right. Oh, God. It's like we would have had a cellar if not for Ileana not showing up.
Boy, we were so
I'll be
close.
bringing a party of 10, Lee. You know.
Oh my God, guys got jokes, huh?
Me and all my friends. Yeah, right. We'll be at your show. Right, so.
You guys got jokes, huh?
That's right. That's right. So, all right. So, I guess we should wrap things up. So, JoeLarson.com. That's what we want.
JoeLarsonComedy.com.
Comedy.com.
I couldn't get JoeLarson.com. Remember, when I first started doing comedy, I was 20, and I looked up JoeLarson.com, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get that website. Of course, it was taken by somebody, and I looked up the website, and it was some kid in Michigan who was like 13, which he would just post. He'd post about rocks. He collected rocks.
And he was JoeLarson.com.
And you're like, you gotta be kidding me.
So I emailed him and I was like, hey, buddy, I'm like trying to do show business stuff. Like, I'm Joe. Can I buy this off of you? And he's like, I don't know, man. I get like 14 hits a month. I don't want to let those people down. And I was like, I need this website.
Did you
like,
offer to buy it from him?
Yeah, I was like, I'll give you a couple $100 for it. And he's like,
God.
I don't know, man. I got these rocks. Like just a totally autistic kid who was just like, I got to show these rocks off. I can't be letting this website go.
Oh my God.
Hey, man, you know what? When you're, you know, a couple of years when you're making $10 million a year, you got your own sitcom, and
I still won't have that website.
right?
I just don't want that website.
He'll be selling it to for some big bucks.
Yeah. What I wanted to do is get JoeLarsonRocks.com and then sell that to him.
Right.
You know, sort of a.
Right.
Yeah.
Look what I got.
Look what
Have
I
you
got.
checked if it's still available?
I haven't in a long
Maybe
time.
by now he's done with that
Yeah.
or moved on to TikTok
But Joe
or
Larson
something.
comedy works.
Joe Larson comedy
Yeah, I think it
works.
works,
You know, but,
yeah.
we should look it up. I do need to look that up. I just think
Now
that's,
you're curious to
yeah, I'm
see if
just
it's still
curious.
there?
I can't not.
Right, we need to know before the audience would like to know, and they're all especially Michael Goldberg's checking it out right now because if it's available, Michael will buy it and then he will sell it to you.
Yeah.
Because Michael is a mover and a shaker.
Now it's Joe's page posts baby songs. Yet another Blender hillside tutorial, frittata, holiday letter. It's just his blogs about these things. My local OpenStreetMap story. OS7 task manager.
Cutting
Florida.
titties? What did you say? Cutting titties? What is that? What is
Cutting tiles.
Oh, cutting tiles.
All right, get your head out of
like,
the
there's
gutter.
something wrong with
So
this
it
kid.
is available.
This kid, Joe at JoeLarson.com is the same kid. Now he's just old, and
man.
it's the worst website. Joe, he's a mapping professional in the Central Coast of California.
That's awesome. So so there was no Lee Navlin. I have LeeNavlin.com. Nobody had. There's no other Lee Navlins in the world. So that's
Congratulations.
it. So, thank you. Yes, and Ileana. Have you ever run across another Ileana Castillo? By
No.
the way? No. As far as you know, you're the only. You
Yes.
Facebooked it, and there's no other.
Oh,
names?
there's a few.
Oh,
There's
so
a
there
few.
are other Ileana.
There's
Castillos.
other Ileana Castillo.
Yeah, what is Ileana? Is there an English translation for Ileana?
No.
Like, is it like?
Yeah, it's Ileana.
Ileana. Yes. Yeah. It's not like Lana or something like that. Or
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I just thought
I
I'd
heard
ask.
it's a very popular name in Russia, actually.
Ileana?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a Russian op. I had a feeling. I had a feeling.
She didn't look Dominican to me.
That's right. Yeah. Dominican, right? He doesn't speak a lick of Spanish.
well,
all of a sudden.
Fur boots and an AK-47. I was like, this doesn't look like a Dominican.
Right.
Guys got jokes,
And
huh?
by the way, there are people listening right now. They're saying, "Oh, we know she's a Russian spy, Lee. We've been.
How did you not figure that out?
I heard her Soma talks. Commie webpage.
She is the bot.
That is the box,
Yeah.
yes. All right, so Joe, dude, thank you very
No,
much
yeah,
for coming
thank you
down.
so much for
This was a
joining
lot
us.
of fun. So Joe Larson Comedy, check out Laughs in the Loft, all right? And
Every first Wednesday.
You're going to see a very funny guy with very funny comics.
Now I'm going to be there on Bunnies on Wednesday night.
And then you, afterwards,
Come
you can
to
meet
the
Joe.
show first.
I
I like how you're not
will.
going to come
I
to
was
the
gonna
show.
surprise
I
you.
like it. Ileana's like, I'm not going to go to the show, but I'll be at Buddy's.
Maybe
Hey,
I would have surprised you.
No, you wouldn't.
How do you know?
Because you're gonna pull a Lee Navlin, and
That's
you're
right.
not going to
That's
show
right.
up.
Well,
I'll drag Lee with me. We should go, Lee.
Ileana will go if you buy the drinks, basically. That's how it
I
works
didn't
with
say
Ileana.
that. You said that.
So when you see her at the surprise, buy me a drink. That's Ileana at the Bunnies.
No, we'll both go. We'll go one
I
night.
actually bought Ileana a drink when we first started the podcast. Remember that? We went to Tap to celebrate the
Oh,
podcast,
yeah.
and she spills it all over herself. And then she looks at me. She's like, "Oh, you have to buy me another one." It was like a $25 drink too. What was it anyway? It was like.
Oh, my God. True story.
Just spilling you out of House nursing home.
That's right. That's right.
I spent $400 on drinks tonight, didn't get a single sip in her.
That's right. But she smelled nice. You smelled like Tangeray and everything else. that you
Whatever
smelled
it
over.
was.
So, right, that's right. So, all right, Jude, Joe. I called him Jude, like Hey Jude, like the Beatles. What I meant to say, Joe, Ileana.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, Joe, thanks for coming in,
Thank
my
you
man.
for coming.
All right, the Soma Talks podcast. We'll do it again soon. Good night.